Hello?
Hiya.
Hello.
All right.
Yeah? What's good?
Hello. Hi.
Here we are, everyone. Episode 10, double digits once more. Um, and today, I'm Ors, joined by my co-host Renge and our
What's
guest,
good? It's me.
uh, Sinewave. Why don't you give people a hi?
Hello. Hi.
Yeah.
Thanks
Tell
for
tell
having me
us how
on. It's
you've
very
been around the
nice.
block.
Yeah. Well, like, how have you
Yeah,
been
tell us more.
recently?
We're doing all right. We're doing all right. Things are I think things are constantly looking up as far as Tetris goes. But I'm having a pretty good weekend. What's going on with you guys?
Uh, I've just been doing schoolwork, um, as you do as a student.
As
Um,
So
one
yeah.
does. I do not miss
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah, I'm almost out of here, so
This is your last semester, right? Or close
second
to?
to last semester.
That's poppin'.
Yes.
I'm stuck for an undisclosed amount of time.
Yeah.
You're gonna make it. You're
You'll
gonna make
make
it.
it. You'll make it.
Hopefully.
Um,
Uh,
but yeah. So you guys might know Sign as a premier commentator. There was definitely a time where you were like there was like there's a modest era and there's like definitely like a sine wave era of Tetris commentary. Is this fair to say? I don't know.
A
Probably
little
not.
bit. I would still put modest like way above, you know? But
Yeah.
I there definitely was a time where I was just on everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was a little intentional, honestly.
dude, it's
Yeah.
just cause you always offer yourself up. You're like, hey. and then
Yeah.
and then
It
I
was
go,
like
Okay.
that at first. Also, Renge, we gotta talk. We have to talk.
Hey.
We'll talk later. But
As
yeah, it
opposed to
was.
like the modest era, which is just like modest. It's 4 p.m. It's time
Yeah,
to
that's.
commentate.
I think maybe in the beginning, Modest was also similar to me, or like I should ask him about this. But
We'll
I
triangulate.
was for a time. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna do everything every weekend. It's fine. We're gonna do it. And now I'm like, oh, here we go. It's time for
hey, I'll
my
have you
Saturday
know.
evening to be Tetris.
I'll have you know, okay. IFTR was this last weekend. I did not need to ask you,
That's
okay?
true.
And that's what's
It's
up.
true. We've moved into a very nice era with some of the developments.
But yeah, I mean, that's that's probably how people would know him. But other than that, you're a pretty long time player, or maybe not long time, but at least as long as Renj and I have been playing, right?
So I started in 2019 when Tetris 99 came
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. So like
That's pretty much it.
around, yeah. So about as old as we are.
Yeah,
Um,
I suppose. It's time has flown. It's already been 3 years, which is really weird.
yes, very weird. Um,
Closing in on my anniversary of the second first year? No, second year. I'm almost year 3.
I think I'm year 3 now. I think I'm year 3
Crazy.
now. But yeah, so I don't know if do you want to start with this topic that we have written down here first? That you've been playing for a while, and now we've got.
Yeah, I guess you could. I guess you
I don't
could.
know. I'm just going in order.
So so yeah, definitely I was into it for a while. It's like all I really kind of cared about for a little bit. So I graduated from college and because I started pretty much like the end of that for me. And I moved out and the pandemic started, so I just didn't really have much to do. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is what I do now. And so I went really hard with that for a while. And it gets kind of exhausting on your brain a little bit. And I kind of had to take a step back. This is probably, I think, a year, maybe a year or two ago at this
Yeah,
point.
I think it was a little
I had,
after we met, right? Like after
yeah,
we.
this is definitely like Underdogs Cup 1 or 2 like time period. Because this was like about the time I was trying to get U rank or so, and it's like playing it a bunch kind of drove me a little bit insane. So I had to take a step back and think like, all right, well, like why do we like actually like this game? Like what's really fun about it? You know, or like is it worth playing anymore? You know, what do you actually enjoy about it? So you just kind of torturing yourself. Uh, and
Yeah.
I think some people kind of may end there, but I came back around with the advice of a lot of people and found some really like things kind of that I do really like about this game that you like. Yeah, some of it is like actually playing it, but a lot of it has to do with just things that you can put into it without really even just actively playing it.
Like thinking. I
Yeah,
don't.
I like I like
Like
thinking, he
thinking.
says. Yeah.
um,
But in general, I don't know. It's been kind of weird. Like, I feel like everyone at some point, once you, if you're able to get to that like baseline threshold of playing in the game where you're, like you can play without like kind of forever and gravity isn't too much of an issue, that sort of deal. I feel like a lot of people will eventually end up getting that like competitive spirit at some point, right?
yeah, for sure. Especially like once, even on like on like Jstris, I definitely saw your username in like like on the default rooms like before I think Tetra became a big thing. Or actually maybe during.
It's it's possible. So like I started out playing 99 a bunch, and that was
Yeah,
pretty much all I ever did. I didn't really know too much about the modern scene at all.
yeah, yeah.
I just thought like, wow, this is fun. I kind of like this is the best battle royale, which is kind of memey at the
The
time, but
best
like,
battle royale.
Still true.
it's true though. I was gonna say, Renge. It's true.
I feel like
But I
people like
remember,
Apex. I don't know or something.
listen, in Apex, there's moments where you're just running around doing nothing and kind of waiting. That doesn't happen in Tetris. You're always stacking in Tetris. You're always
It's
playing the game.
stacking is the running of.
I
What
don't know.
is
There's
stacking if
definitely
not
less.
the
There's
walking on Tetris?
if nothing else, there's a lot less dead time in it, so I thought that was fun. But it's
Yeah, I
definitely a
know.
different game.
Yeah.
The
Sorry to
puzzle game to
interrupt.
shooter
Sorry to
game.
interrupt.
um, that's really funny.
But yeah.
Oh, but I was really into that, and like I stumbled across Shen streaming because I wanted to see like what do good people look like at this game, right? And I was completely blown away. I like I didn't know you could do T spins. I didn't know like any of the rotation system really worked at all. It was just like a completely different world had opened up, and
Yeah.
I was just like fascinated. Just I had to learn this pretty much. And Shen pointed me to Jstris, so that probably would have been about then, which was around the time that Tetrio was kind of starting to be like, oh yeah, DM Osk your IP, right?
Were
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
on the beta?
Yeah, I remember having to whitelist for that. So it was a fun time. It was a really good time. Like those came out because I was playing Nopalmino, which isn't bad, but like at the time it was a little outdated.
Was it like
Hmm.
Nulpo and then Jstris or like
Yeah,
Nulpo? Okay.
yeah. There, everyone was like, yeah, you should just get on Gestures. Come on, do it already.
You
And
know, yeah.
then I did.
Did you get to Nulpomino because you saw the like a four wide guide, and then they said combo race from Nulpomino, or is
I
that
don't
just me?
know. I think I just found it because I was just looking for a Tetris game I could play on my computer that like wasn't Facebook Tetris. Because my roommate in college, one of them, she actually liked it. I never knew how good she actually ever was. Never really talked about it.
Hmm.
Um, but I knew she played Facebook Tetris a little bit. And like now, I think about I was looking for at the time like something that wasn't on in the Facebook environment because it's like
Oh yeah.
yeah, the coin system, and the energy and everything, and they don't want you to play as much as you want to.
You didn't like TF? I guess like it's hard to like not conflate TF and
So I feel like the system itself, the game itself is fine. I just never liked the whole like
you didn't like Alex
monetization
Paginov's
aspect
voice.
of it.
Oh,
Hmm.
never mind.
That was pretty much it. Like I didn't like, oh, you have to go to the item shop to change your tuning, that
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I wasn't a fan of that. But like yeah, the game itself was fun, and I looking back, I think the 1v1s that you played at like a low level were probably just replays of
They
other
were
people.
just
I don't
bots, yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
Which was fun, but like I had fun with it at the time,
I
right?
don't think
And then
I've ever put a
eventually,
real person on Tetris Friends.
yeah, I don't think so either. But it was still nice nonetheless. And like I played that for a while, and then eventually Tetrio comes out. Just really getting into that. Then Tetra League
Yes.
development came out, and that's kind of where everything took off. And like I started actually just like get into the other Tetris games. I think I got PPT, started playing that on my Switch, that kind of thing. Like, oh, it was
Yeah.
pretty fun.
But yeah, so I guess we sorry for dragging us on a tangent. But yeah, so that leads into what you actually ended up enjoying about the game. Aside from just trying to improve indiscriminately at versus.
Yeah, there's a couple different things that I found where it's just really fun. And like the competitive aspect of it, while maybe not my kind of thing, like to actually play, I still find it really fun and really great to watch. And like there's an interesting passion about it. So when I was in high school, like a lot of my friends were super into Smash Brothers Melee. And this was like 2014, 2015, that time
Mm-hmm.
period. It's like
Yeah,
I
the
we
Dr.
went
Pimp
to
thing.
I got to go to the CEO, I think, in Orlando one year. I don't remember which year. I think it was probably 2015. And like all of my friends just had this just incredible like passion and like we're excited. It's like people watching like a football game and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and that is, to be honest, that's never really died. Every time like I get to see people who are at the complete top playing and doing stuff that just things you wouldn't consider at speeds you could never do. I'm still just constantly impressed, and it's like just it's really just fun to get into, you know. So it's really nice
Yeah.
to have that kind of same feeling, and I kind of get now, like what they kind of felt a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun to have something to like invest into a little bit, uh, or like
The other
have
thing is
kind of
that as a
what's
spectator sport, I think is always like it's always a different perspective when you're the one getting excited versus when someone else is the one getting excited. You can feel the emotions that the other person is feeling, but when you're the one who's like understanding everything that's going on, it takes on like a different color to me. I don't know.
yeah, definitely. Tetris is a really weird spectator sport, I think,
Mm-hmm.
especially for high level games. It's nice that we've had lately a bunch of rank cap tournaments, at least in some regards. Like it is certainly more accessible to spectators to watch people play at a little bit slower pace
I
than the total top level. Like there's like some kind of like baseline, like again, kind of like playing the game. There's a little bit that you need to be able to like, I feel like watch, like to be able to keep up. If that makes sense. Because like the first like WPL Tetris Open or something, like I remember thinking in grand finals, like I could barely keep up with either player, just like watching it.
I don't know. Is like a tournament of like S ranks any less any more? Is it really that much more accessible than like a tournament of like X ranks? I mean, it's
Yes.
is it
It's
really?
I
I don't know.
Yes.
it's literally three times slower.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think people would get the same sort of enjoyment, right?
The same sort of enjoyment, but
So
I think as a spectator, it's harder to like comprehend. Like in your head, it's harder to comprehend what's going on if the pieces are going like three times faster than like
yeah,
I think just like physically. That's why Raccoon Cup was actually rank capped, even though U is still pretty fast.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I don't know. I mean, I
I
feel
mean
like rank caps are definitely more for the players than they are for the spectators.
absolutely. You know, like and that's why I like I want to be reserved when I say it's a good thing that they've had a bunch of them because there's definitely some like some complaints that have been or criticism I should say that's been that is very fair to say about them. But like the thing I feel like has not been talked about is it is just a lot more accessible to just people who aren't familiar with the game at all. Which once you kind of get into like getting it, it's I mean, and the same thing would happen with like me, for example, right now. If I tried to watch a game of like Pro League, I don't know what's going on at all, pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like if you watch a game of amateur league, would you
If
know
yeah,
what's
if it
going
would
on?
okay, maybe yeah, maybe this is probably not the best like comparison, I suppose, but like you need some kind of basic
Yeah.
level of proficiency to even understand like what you're watching
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, it's just like how accessible the game is in general. Like something like I would argue something like Counter Strike is like incredibly accessible just because it's so like obvious what the goal is.
Yeah,
Like
or like what's
Mm-hmm.
happening.
there's definitely like lower there's definitely like like lower level or not lower like higher level stuff that's is not being like seen by the average spectator, but they see like, oh, they're shooting. Ooh, I'll kill that
Look at that
guy.
crazy
They're
flick. Yeah.
shooting the guy.
It's like, yeah, it's just a barrier to entry to understanding, and this is something that a lot of games struggle with. I I think, I mean, League is obviously it's not that like opaque, but it's fairly up there, I would say. I don't know. Like, I mean, I've played League, so I kind of know what's going on, but I don't know like
It's
half the mechanics in that game. Like, there's
it's
a
just a
billion characters.
it's just my like go-to example of like a game I just don't understand like even enough to watch and like get what's going on.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you
Not
and
as
me
a
both,
dig against
brother.
it. I just don't get it. That's all. But it definitely it's it's not like a problem unique to us. That's true.
yeah,
That's true.
yeah. Uh,
Okay, so I feel like we've just like talked around this point way too much. So what do you enjoy about the game now, Sign? We went on like three
or like,
tangents.
what do you think you'd be
That's
known for
true.
aside from the commentary? Or
I
like,
mean,
Yeah.
I
that's what
don't.
I'm maybe not known
What like
for, but
yeah, I
like,
was gonna say I don't really think like I don't really want to be known for anything necessarily. That makes sense. Like I'm not aiming to be like the best T spinner, the best stacker, the
Oh, he
fastest, or
said it.
anything
He
like
said it.
that.
yeah,
We said it right. I'm not necessarily trying to be known for anything. What I really just enjoy about the game is the feeling of like satisfaction that you get when you plan something out that is, to whatever arbitrary degree of complexity that you find like difficult, right? And it feels good when you like successfully pull this off, whatever it is.
yeah,
And
Mhm.
it applies to, it's not just like doing T spins or whatever. Like it literally anything that you're like applying to the game. Whenever you have this goal, and there's a lot of like scaling that goes along with it because you could just keep getting better and better and better. There's not really like some kind of defined end or anything.
yeah. So like big
So it's
spikes, not just like doing crazy yakitari or whatever.
yeah, just really whatever like w- uh, there's a lot of sacks, like maybe you get a, or for you, like it feels really great when you get like a 21 combo down stack, right? Whatever.
There's
Like
not that
it's
many lines on the board.
I know, and
You
I
can't
know,
do
I
it.
know, I know. But I'm just saying, like it feels really good whenever you do something that you find cool, and you're like, I'm really happy now, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like
I never
this one
really
goes
like
in the Tetris highlights channel.
I never really like found that feeling kind of fading away pretty much. And that's probably why I ended up doing a lot of like primarily T spins because there's just
yeah,
so many different combinations and ways to do things.
yeah.
But it's I don't know.
Definitely
And
more of
like
a single player fiend is like myself.
it exists in multiplayer too. A great description that I saw of it was like the joy of victory doesn't is frequently outweighed by the agony of defeat. So it's like there definitely is like the same kind of like joy in multiplayer. You can get there.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
like when it feels good when you have maybe someone that you regularly play against or someone that you're pretty close in skill or something, and you have like a good game and you win or something in the end, and like it feels good, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It certainly exists in all aspects.
I'm also reminded by saying by Dre, or it was all a dream. It's like winning with style is better than uh it's better than losing with style. It's better than winning. So there's like a tier there.
Yeah,
Or
I guess
I don't know. I'm memeing.
That's why I use rank as canon on a daily
Yeah.
basis.
yeah.
Lose with style.
I don't
Okay.
know. I guess it really depends on what you define as winning and losing.
Mhm.
And it can be difficult when you have like a rank system. I feel like that's kind of a big broad issue with a lot of video games lately. Uh, and so
Uh
it's fun to like try and break out of that.
yeah. Okay. Um but yeah. I mean, I guess there isn't too much more to talk about this. I know you also made like, oh, to bring up Dre again, like a T-spin thought process video for a 20 TSD video, which I thought was pretty cool. Um,
Yeah. I like that video. I think it goes pretty hard. Even though the way you think about T spins is kind of different now, right? I think
I mean,
something like that.
probably a little bit. Like there's always something that you're learning, but I feel like the basic approach that I like learned in the beginning has still kind of stayed true. I've just expanded the toolbox a lot since then.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I I don't know. I don't know how to describe that really. I probably wouldn't do some of the same decisions I made back then, but it was a lot of fun to make. I really liked
Yeah.
doing it.
Do you think you do
And like
an updated one or something?
it's possible. Um, I do have something else in mind right now that's kind of taking my
Yes.
attention.
Are we allowed to
Uh,
talk about it or no?
I mean, people already know about
Oh,
it,
yeah. Do
so
you want to talk about it?
people already know that I'm working on a T-spin guide,
Oh my
and not really
God.
so much a guide as much of a like.
A philosophy.
I guess yeah,
T
A
spin
I don't
T
know what you I don't know what you talk I
a
don't know what you
Taoism.
classify it
T
as.
spin
Uh,
manifesto.
a
some some
manifesto.
ex, some extended commentary, right?
Yeah.
Um, a lot of the things that I've found were like you will eventually learn some kind of basic process, and then eventually you just learn different forms of that or different ways to like apply that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So like in some games, maybe it's like you recognize like some animation, and then that decides like what you're going to respond with, things like that.
Yeah.
There's a similar concept in Tetris, and that's kind of like going back earlier how I said like thought process hasn't changed too much. Um, it's kind of like you'll see what you have on the board, you see what you have coming up, and you think like, what patterns can I make with what I have coming up to do, what I'm thinking of, or
Yeah.
the various shaped surfaces that I know are like likely to give me different things that I want.
I mean, you could be like super general with like all games or just like look at the information and then like act on the information. Um, but I think Tetris is definitely one of the most explicit games with like what you see. Like there's literally nothing in the game that's hidden from you except for maybe like where the garbage is going to spawn. But
Yeah,
like other than that, everything is available to you. You can see 5 pieces into the future and like it's just like if you want to play the game like a like a purely just like an algorithm, like you can do that kind of.
yeah. It's one of the things I like about it is I don't know, like I feel like someone has said this or formalized this before, but like it's a really simple game that has really deep like resulting mechanics of those simple rules, and so I those tend to be like just really good, right? Like
Yes.
chess is one of those kind of games where like Go and things like that, they just tend to have just really, really very incredible depth with, like I said, very simple to pick up things. I think that really tends to make good games.
Yes. Everyone hates Tetris that plays Tetris. It's crazy.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Side note, I hate this game and I'm terrible, right?
Yeah.
Nobody likes information. You know what? This is
That
Yeah.
the
is
joke
that is
about
one of my
taking
favorite
video.
aspects about this game, though, compared to like a lot of things. Is like the information is there's the only thing that sets players apart is themselves, right? It's not like, oh, I didn't I my I, how do I phrase this? Because there are misinputs and things like that, right? But it's
Very rarely is it you lose because of luck
yeah, it's
or
it's
just like
something of most of it is like just it really comes down to player agency a lot of the time,
mhm.
Yeah.
and I appreciate that in a lot of games. Um, I don't know, it just it adds back into that like satisfaction, right? Of like you did something and you feel good about it.
Yeah.
Mhm. I don't know. I do like the amount of information you get. It just makes things like less random
Yeah.
for me. It's just like I know what I want to do and I know that I can do like I can execute this. And so if I mess it up and I die, it's my fault.
Yeah. It's like a bunch of that is kind of like what I had planned on. There is definitely some sections on that in the video that I'm coming up with. It's a bit of an overview, I guess, of things that are possible. I don't know if my guide is necessarily say this is, how you learn this, as much as this is a thing you can do, because it kind of goes back to the like when I first got into Tetris, I didn't even know T-spins were even possible. Someone didn't have to tell me like this is how you should set up every single one. I went and like learned how to do that, and that's kind of part of the fun and figuring things out. But like just knowing in the beginning some things are even possible, or this kind of concept is a thing, is really a big door, like kind of big like big opportunity, I
Yeah,
guess.
big door.
Big door. I
Big
can
door
speak good,
opening.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good way to, I think, describe what you're working on. Um, can we? I like manifesto. Can we? Do you want? Can you call it a manifesto? I don't
Yeah,
know. I think that makes that
I
works. That word works.
it's not
The
it's not
T-spin
wrong.
manifesto.
It's
It's
not
just
wrong, I
it's
guess.
just funny. I'm
It
sorry.
is very funny. You know what? It's a deal. Why not? It's funny.
Can we get a book cover design on
Yeah,
this?
yeah. All purple. I don't know.
My big purple book, not little or red, big and purple.
Yes. Uh, but yeah, I think it's good.
A good
Good
place to
seg.
go.
Good.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about something completely unrelated now.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I guess we can talk more about like video games in general. Because like you continuously bring in like these other like these analogies to other games, and we know you are kind of a seasoned gamer.
uh,
That that in our episode about other video games, where we just sort of rambled for a long time. You wanted to come and also ramble for a long time.
yeah.
So,
That's a fair statement.
About your video
That's a
game.
fair statement.
but yeah, I mean, I think definitely compared to Renge and I, who have mostly stuck with the same few games, you're a little more more well traveled. We'll use that
I
word.
To be honest with you, it's like I get like you guys, but then like a period of time will pass, and then you'll find a new like small set of games that you're like, this is it. I'm into this now.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. For a
The
while, I
reality
was
is
like
like
pretty into TFT, but I thought that would last longer than it did. But then, like, I think a patch happened. And it didn't.
I mean, you try things, and maybe it's for a month, maybe you like it, maybe you don't. The thing is, you try and like eventually you figure out like, yeah, like what did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Maybe you'll try something different than genre, maybe you won't, that kind of thing.
But yeah, is there anything
Um,
that like really stood out that you wanted to talk about that you didn't you
yeah,
couldn't?
I feel like a lot of times people kind of forget that video games are really just like at the end of the day, I guess you can say there's some competitive side of them, but like it's supposed to be for fun, right? Like I
Mhm.
don't know. That's my kind of ultimate take is that it's meant to be enjoyed. If you're not enjoying a video game, why are you playing it? No
Yeah,
one's like if someone's forcing you to play a video game, like this is a weird first world problem to have, and I don't want to like discredit that if any, but like I don't know.
You got some bigger fish to fry if someone's
Yeah,
forcing
right.
you at this
There's
point to
other
play a
problems I
video
think
game.
that's very but
we're all being forced to play a video game right
you
now.
shouldn't like if you're not having fun, you shouldn't like force yourself to do something, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So that's
Mhm.
pretty much it. Is like a lot of games I feel like and Tetrio. I say Tetris specifically because it's kind of the only one that really has a ranked mode. I guess PPT does, but it's and TEC, but I don't know how accurate the ranked mode really is. No offense or anything. It's just kind of like
It's not very good.
you just get rating, right?
Yeah, but
Um,
I don't know. I feel like there's such a conflation with like playing quote unquote like playing the game for fun and then like or like it almost is. And I'm not saying that you're saying this, but um, I think there's such a conflation between uh, like playing the game for fun and ignoring mastery or like it talks down to people that are playing the game for mastery because like I don't know. I feel like fun is pretty much all about uh well obviously it's just like doing things that feel good and that's kind of more harder to define but a lot of the enjoyment in games comes from mastery or learning or finding new things or you know
and that's I mean, and that's definitely a valid way to enjoy a game. If you're having fun improving at a certain skill, like then definitely that's I don't mean like, oh, I'm just playing it because I like, I don't know. Pretty much I'm saying you shouldn't like force yourself to do something if you're not enjoying it. If you're not enjoying like trying to improve meaninglessly at a game, like I think it is worth considering like what are you doing, putting the time into it, or like because this is maybe
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
beginning to be a source of negativity in your life, right? And like that's pretty much all I'm getting at. Whatever it is that you enjoy about the game, like you just have to remember that like it's a game and you're supposed to be enjoying it. So maybe like this what kind of happened to me was like I had this big push of like, oh, I really want to get ranked in whatever game it was at the time. And I think like when I used to play Overwatch, and I used to play a lot of shooting games. That was really my like real background in video games.
Known shooter, Sinewave. Yeah.
Ugh, gamer, yeah. Let's. I mean, like, okay, realistically, so I'm almost 25, right?
Mhm.
I grew up with like PlayStation 2, and I think I had an NES. So like, there's definitely some good like classic gaming era stuff right there, and not to say nothing was before or after, or after. Excuse me. But there's definitely been just a lot over the years that like have tended people to be in a couple smaller categories of
Yeah.
games. So yeah, I had a big background in shooting games. Like I used to be real into like Counter Strike and Overwatch, and I had the same problem with like those games ranked that I did playing Tetrio, but I just didn't realize it honestly. Like that it's was just driving me insane. Like you cared too much about number going up, that you're not having fun anymore, and it makes you not have like it makes you be mean to your friends that you're playing with because that kind of thing. So it took me a long time to realize that. With Overwatch, it was more like oh, okay, it's this whole like random team based thing isn't going to work for me anymore. Uh, and then with Tetris, it was like, okay, yeah, the rating thing is a little, like
Yeah.
why do I actually like playing video games? And it's okay to enjoy them for rating too. Like people play chess for to be highly rated, right? Like it's
Yeah.
totally fine to have ambition. I realized at the end of the day, it was kind of like negatively impacting,
Yeah.
at least for me. So I look for different things, right?
Do you think games with like less accurate or less or g- like with less transparent rating systems are better for that sort of thing? Because like a big thing with like TR is that it's actually like it's kind of accurate, right? Like it's you're gonna reverberate around the specific TR, and it's
It is and
might
it
not be
isn't.
the one that you don't like. It might not be the one that you like, and I think
It's
that's like a lot of people view TR as though it's something you can grind, where it's actually just like an estimation of your skill on a given day. And I've talked about this
yeah,
a lot of times.
Mhm.
yeah, that definitely. It's that's kind of like what I mean when like there's a bit of an unhealthy relationship, and I think this is really pervasive in a lot of like modern gaming nowadays. Like you said earlier, like oh you're trying to get into TFT, or like we're talking about League is one of the most popular. A lot of the times, I think people can forget like there's entirely other reasons to play games besides that, and I don't know, finding a hobby that you enjoy is pretty much the biggest part of it, right?
Yeah, of
Mhm.
If you're
course.
not enjoying one aspect of it, like take a step back and think like, why do you want to do it? Like, what do you enjoy about it? What don't you enjoy? Like, really think about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be just pretty much enjoyment, right?
I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. Like at the end of the day, it's just like the your rank is supposed to be a marker of your progress, right? It's the same way that if you're trying to do something for fun, there's like progress is always fun. It's like it's a cornerstone of like everything, right? Like when you're reading a story, or like okay, I'm getting too heady. Like like I don't know, like even when you're like practicing like something for single player, even playing another game where you're just like leveling up, or I don't know, exploring different areas. It's all about like progress, and in ideally like a rating system is perfect for that, right? Like it's supposed to measure your progress, but it just feels bad because you're like improvement is very rarely linear, as opposed to like I don't know when you're like grinding in a video in like an RPG, it's not as linear, or
Mhm.
I don't know actually. Like
I
I
mean,
feel like a more opaque. Because
I
there
don't
is
know.
this
Like
thing like rating anxiety in StarCraft,
I,
is what I've heard about.
I think we kind of briefly talked a little bit about it, like in that last episode, where you guys are just very like kind of minded about this style of game, where like there's some mastery aspect to the game,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
mhm.
And I think you tend to end up getting a little railroaded on. It's pretty much kind of the thing is like there's a lot of different other reasons to play them, or do whatever than just worrying about your own progression or whatnot. A lot of the times, maybe I like the like the aesthetics of whatever universe or things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So for a while, I really enjoyed uh, say the video game series, the Stalker series, where it's set in Ukraine in the Chernobyl exclusion zone. I'm not gonna like sit here and be like, let's talk about
Chernobyl. Yeah.
random game, right?
Oh, nice.
Um, but like things like that, it's like I'm not trying to get better at the game. I'm playing because it's an immersive like
Yeah.
experience, this sort of deal. It's something that like you're obviously never going to experience in real life, and it's like yeah, this definitely isn't close, but it's still interesting lights to distract your monkey brain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was like,
There's diff-
sorry.
Go ahead.
But it's like you don't boot up the game. It's not like you boot up like a. I guess some people still do like replay games to try and like relive an experience. But it's like it's still part of it is like going through it, right? And like progressing through it. Like it's I don't know. Maybe that's too heady. I think it's
I
too
think we
much.
both or sort of enjoy games for the reason that we
For
like
that
them.
exact reason, yeah.
Yeah.
But there are definitely like other games. Like one game that comes to mind, like for me, is the Stanley Parable. That's just like
Yeah.
there is no improving at the Stanley Parable. You
Yeah.
just play it for the sake of playing it.
No, isn't it like you learn more endings and you're not like improving, but like you're learning more about the game as you play as you try different routes.
Just a
All
different
right.
interactive story, right?
Yeah. Like stories are
Yeah.
all about progression. If a story that doesn't go anywhere is boring. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'm just being super semantic about it, but I just can't understand. I'm just or I'm trying to convey that like I don't know it's something that you wouldn't play for progression. You know?
I guess.
I would say wouldn't necessarily conflate progression of like different content with
Yeah, obviously
progression of
skill
like
progression
skill
is
is pretty
different,
much the
but
big
like
thing. There's nothing wrong with some kind of yeah, you can't like just have a video game of doing the same exact thing, like press the B button,
Goat
that's it.
Simulator.
Like that's it's definitely not it. But maybe that progression isn't necessarily like because you're getting better and mastering the game kind of thing.
Hmm.
Although a lot of the times, like thematically, it might be like maybe you get better equipment or whatever it is. It's less like
uh,
player skill. I don't know
it's like what
necessarily.
type of progression you enjoy as
Yeah,
opposed to like cuz I don't know. I can't like correctly word I can't correctly think of how to word it without like taking a pause for like a minute.
yeah.
So we'll just move on. It's fine.
It's definitely a difficult topic to talk about.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's kind of just personal tastes.
Yeah. Cuz I don't know. I'm just trying to phrase it in a way that because of certain opinions around the community, um, I want to phrase it in a way that like doesn't devalue like it. It's like why it's like I think the common answer of like why like oh why am I still playing this game? It's like oh this is meaningless or like something like that. But I mean it doesn't what you're saying doesn't inherently imply like what I'm trying to not get at, but it's hard for someone who just took it at face value to not think about it that way. Do you know what I mean? or
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's fair. That's entirely fair.
yeah. All right.
That's
Mhm.
that's entirely fair.
Tetris commentary.
It's
Tetris
a
I
thing.
commentary.
don't know.
It's a
You're
thing
yeah.
I've
We're
been told
shifting
I do.
shifting topics entirely yet again.
Yeah.
Get blindsided.
We
I
kind of
thought
got
I had a decent like transition to this one, but I don't know.
my new thing is transitioning with just completely cutting the band-aid out and just being like, yeah, we're talking about something else now. Back to the matching.
I'm just saying I wouldn't have it any other way. It feels very appropriate. That's all.
This is the around the block branding.
All
Uh,
right.
but yeah, I mean, I'm also a commentator.
Yeah.
You're
True.
also a
I was a
commentator, Sign.
commentator.
Or
I'm
you were
actually kind of
commentated.
a I'm like a agent or I was an agent, like a commentary agent and recruiting people. Uh, I think I pretty much got both of your starts with commentary, right?
By
Uh,
technicality,
I'm
yes.
pretty sure. How did I get in
Oh
contact with
wait,
Jed?
it might have been. I don't know if yours was
You
your
were
first one
definitely it
was.
for me because my first block was Mini Mino.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I don't. I thought. San, you definitely did commentate a Mini Mino before, right?
Yeah, the first thing I did was with Jed. I'm like 90% sure.
Uh,
When was that?
When was that?
oh, Judd
Jed,
is in
when was
chat.
that? He's here he is.
Uh,
Literally, this is perfect timing.
was that
This
WWC Winter Open?
before that. It was before that.
Yeah. Did you just
Um
ask to commentate and then?
I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I remember Jed like DM'd me and he like wanted to have like a voice call before he
Yeah,
said
yeah,
yes or
yeah.
no, right? There's the whole interview thing. That's all I remember about it.
I heard he did that with like Flood, and he's like, "Oh, this guy's British." And it's like, "All right, he's in."
Hired.
Like,
Yeah, hired immediately. True.
but yeah. So, I mean, we talked about it briefly, but yeah, we already did talk about a lot of the stuff. But I don't know, like we sort of talked about Tetris as a spectator sport more than like specifically what commentators can do,
Hmm.
because like I mean, obviously, commentators and hype are like a big thing of why like these big esports are, or in the spectator. I guess also it's a production thing, but commentators definitely a big part of why these big esports are as digestible as they are. So I don't know, like, what your opinions on. I'm probably gonna stay out of this a little, or I'll just like mostly be a questioning on this because I don't
Yeah.
commentate as much anymore. But what do you guys think can be done to help improve? I mean, we've talked about this before, but anything new?
Have we? I don't actually remember if
I
we
don't
have talked
remember.
about commentary very much, but I
Briefly.
don't know. I think the job of a commentator is kind of twofold. Like there's the more obvious thing that you have to do as a commentator, which is like break down the game for the spectator, especially with Tetris being like as fast paced and as kind of difficult to understand at the speeds that they're going as it is. Uh, Actually making the game understandable for like the common person who doesn't like play at 4 pps or doesn't really watch at 4 pps, uh making that like a thing that they can comprehend is one thing, and then the other thing is being able to keep their attention, I think, is probably like the more under talked about aspect of commentary. Is like how do you be interesting about the game and then also be interesting as like ear food and for people to listen to. But that's kind of
Yeah,
my 2 cents.
I love eating.
Same. Sign thoughts.
Yeah. That's we kind of get it. We're kind of on the same wavelength there.
Mhm.
Um, it's definitely a large amount of like being at least technically correct, right? And so going back to earlier, it's we can't expect everyone who's watching the game is going to have the same level of proficiency as the people who are playing. Like obviously not everyone is going to think like well, like when you're watching CZ, like you might understand like, oh, I see why I did that kind of thing. But like not everyone is going to even come close, just to use an extreme example. And
Yeah.
so like definitely a
Mhm.
commentator, you've like there are these there are differing levels of like important decisions that happen in a game. Some piece placements are just straight up less interesting than others, right?
Yeah.
And so there are some larger concepts that are a bit more relevant to what someone watching would need to know if they didn't know or couldn't tell themselves. So like ideally, informationally wise, what a commentator is saying, like I think you should be able to like. I probably shouldn't say this. Like the ideal like spectator, we can't expect. Like this is like if this was everyone, like commentators would be pointless or would be a lot more different. But like you can't expect everyone who's watching to just understand 100% of everything. But like someone who could watch the stream muted and still understand what's going on is like
Most Tetris players, honestly.
yeah, I guess. So then the next thing is like, yeah, you do have to be somewhat engaging, whether that's being funny or you are telling a larger story um,
Hmm.
Yeah.
about like whatever it is, whether it's within the set or from things that come, over
Before
longer
it, or
time
like,
periods
yeah,
before
like
the set.
larger scale storylines.
Whatever a big, like there's bigger elements to to start talking about.
Hmm.
Personally, I will say I don't really like. My main goal isn't necessarily to be funny. I think it's something everyone should consider. Like it's not. This isn't golf, you know. Not. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, and now he has done a very exceptional
Yeah.
T-spin double golf clap, and like it's very subdued. Like, it's definitely like a little bit less professionalism, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, but there has to be something besides like just literally what's happening on screen. You have to give either some kind of
Yeah.
lie or
Yeah.
something that's just going to immediately distract from that
Yeah. All right.
or make you like a personable,
I think
thing to
yeah.
listen to.
Just like storylines or like maybe pointing out something. There's always like that color, like it's just like play by play and color thing that
Yeah.
we always talk about, but we never really do, to be honest. So like, I don't know. Like, I think we did talk about commentary with Jed with like the on the like the second episode ever.
Oh yeah, I think we probably did.
But I
That sounds
think
right.
like I mean like obviously we have different people here, different person here, and
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how deep we got into it, but I feel like there's like some. It could just be like like the production we have, and like maybe it's even as simple as just like a voice thing, you know? Like, but like,
Mm.
is there? There's surely more we can do to like elevate what we're doing on commentary. I think that a lot of people, um, like, there's definitely a difference between like a league stream or like a league commentary, CS:GO commentary, and like a Tetris commentary. And I don't know
Yeah.
what would you attribute that to, and what could maybe Tetris do about it? Is it like an inherently part with the game? Is it inherent to being a small game, like with the population that we have, and like we just have less people to choose from? Um, average age.
Average age.
Everyone's squeakers, or not really, not
I
squeaker, but
think
like
for one
pubescent.
thing, it has to do a lot with uh the pace that the game goes at. And I mean, I don't watch League at all, so I don't actually know that much about what League commentary sounds like. Uh,
What about melee,
but
like melee commentary?
yeah, like melee commentary also flows at a Tetris. The pace of the game is really like kind of weird in relation to a lot of other games. I think is
Yeah,
one really big factor. Uh, because just talking about the game constantly is exhausting. Uh, both to listen to and to do physically,
so
as the
so
caster.
it's an inherent to the game thing.
Yeah, I'd say so. So you have to find like other ways to stay interesting and stay sort of meaningful. And then also it's just like our community is a little bit less matured. So like
Yeah,
things like talking about the copy pastas that are in chat, or
little
things
cringe.
like
Is what I would.
interacting with chat in some degree,
Yeah.
like between sets, becomes like way more normalized and commonplace, I think.
It's definitely not a thing I like would ignore, but at the same time, I would agree that there is certainly a limit of like how much
Hmm.
you want to start focusing on that. 100%. I feel like at this point, when you think of like a big video game tournament stream or something, like the chat is a bit like Twitch chat is a bit of a like integral thing at this point. It's a bit of a like cultural icon if I for good or for worse, right?
Hmm.
It's it's part of the equation, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Um, so I wouldn't say it's something you could just totally ignore, right? But it definitely can be too much. I don't know. I think for me, the issues with like commentating in Tetris is it gets very exhausting very quickly, and like if you want to have an interesting commentary, a lot of the times you have to maintain some kind of like speaking energy, right? If
Yeah,
it
yeah.
kind of it becomes obvious if you're getting tired. And Tetris, I think you've talked about this before, but it's like a game that's just like always at 100%, and
Yeah,
it can just
Yeah.
there's
end
never
whenever,
any downtime,
right?
especially in no limit, in
Yeah,
no timing limit.
it's just at full intensity, like all the
Mhm.
time. And so this it can be a little weary to watch. Um,
Yeah.
just constantly with no kind of real major change. Eventually, you get a little bit worn out. So I think that's one thing we're definitely pretty much everyone I think is kind of struggling with, and it's gotten better because there are now more people. We do rotations. We're not commentary doing 8 hour commentary blocks, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's certainly gotten better, which I will say this probably felt like I should have said it a while ago. But like one of the things I started doing commentary, right? My whole goal was like I feel like there's kind of a lack of like player persona or like identity in the game, which
Mhm.
probably ties into the fact that a lot of the game's player base is on the younger side, and understandably so. Like you certainly should have a good degree of privacy on the internet, 100%. But it was always a thing that I kind of struggled with. There's no face to attach voice to. There's no voice to attach gameplay. It's everyone's kind of just a name on a screen. So that was one thing that I feel like has definitely improved since then. Um,
Mhm.
whether to my own contribution or not, but like I bought a webcam literally just to start doing commentary,
Yeah.
and like now there are at least two hands worth of people that I can think of that have
I
started
think
and used
you're
the webcam since then.
the catalyst that got people think that got like TOs in general thinking about it more and more.
Yeah.
Because I know Square One, which actually was like a month ago at this point, had every caster who did Square One had to use Facecam, which I think you were a big part of, like in this like kind of like larger
Yeah.
general sense. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a very, very good thing.
Um, like I said, obviously, like it's definitely cool to want to have privacy on the internet. There's nothing
Hmm.
wrong with that. But I felt like the comparison to like classic Tetris is they have like have you guys ever watched any of the CTWC or
A
anything that
little
they've
bit
done like
before.
since they've started streaming it? Um, I think the overlay that they do now is fantastic. It's like you have the player cams are like literally just the background, and it's like you're watching both of them actually play. And I will admit, like classic Tetris is not my favorite. Um, but I really kind of envy that like you sit and see and you like watch these people and it feels like you're like I don't know. It feels like you're actually watching people play a game.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if
Hmm.
that makes sense. And I don't want to like I don't mean this is an insult to any of our top players in the modern community at all. I know it's cool like it's fine. It's just kind of a bit of a pipe dream really for me.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I don't know how much I'm like poking with this question. Like, is there anything like to get better at, or like with commentary? Like, I mean, personally, why I stopped doing commentary is first of all I didn't really enjoy it. Um, like that. That's just like I get tired easily
Hmm.
with like a lot of things. But like, and I also felt like there's skills involved with commentary. I couldn't quite identify um, what they were, or like I wasn't really compelled to identify what they were, and like really sit down to practice them. And I felt like basically, oh, I got to a level where I was just like, okay, I know how to talk about the game for like a decent amount of time. I can point out moments like basically I got to a functional level with commentary, and then I just stopped, right?
Hmm.
And it might be a little mean, but I feel like that's a lot of people, right? They just get comfortable talking they just get comfortable talking on the mic, and then they're just done, right? They don't improve anymore. Like, how do you improve? How do you continue to improve? Do you guys think about how to improve? Is there anything we could do to improve?
I
Like,
think it's a very similar case to like playing the game. It's like it's gonna depend on what you actually lack in, or maybe aren't doing
oh
as good
yeah,
as you
yeah, but
want.
like there's
Mhm.
elements.
There's definitely elements of it.
What
I
are
know
they?
for a time, I definitely like you could definitely struggle to watch one player play at 3 PPS, let alone two players playing at 3 PPS and watching what they're both doing, right? And
Mhm.
like that's definitely a thing you can like literally practice. But I feel like yeah, once you get to that like point of comfort, you have to it starts getting weird. Like you have to be like oddly self-critical and like
Mhm.
on purpose of like going back and listening to things or watching things, that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
I just don't feel like people do that, you know? Like,
It's
is that
I,
true? Like, I
I
could be
mean,
wrong.
I'm probably I don't know if you do this, sign. Sometimes I'll just like go back and I'll listen to my own VODs and I'll be like, I should not have brought this up, or like this is a good thing to bring up,
yeah,
or like this is a good bit to like continue
yeah. There
things
are
like that.
definitely parts that I go back and think about.
I th-
It
I
definitely
think
happens.
improvement in commentary is a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah.
Not only like listening back to your own VODs and pointing out like trying to figure out what you did well or you did poorly, but also just trying to think of what you enjoy, how you enjoy commentating, what you enjoy in other people's commentary, and being able to like synthesize that into your own stuff. Uh, one of the big inspirations for my commentary, like when I was starting out, was like Modest and Jed. It's like very obvious they're my friends. So
They're
I
just
would
two
pick.
homies playing the
They're
like.
just two homies
They're just
talking
two
about the game.
homies who are getting really excited watching a game. And you know what? That's
Yeah.
exactly kind of like what I like tried at first to think about too. I'm sorry to
Hmm.
interrupt you. Like I
Yeah.
100% with you on this one.
I think that looking to people who have the style of commentary that you want to have, and like just kind of not really studying but listening to their commentary and like kind of actively thinking about like what makes it good. Like what bits are they pushing? Why is Modest laughing at this stupid Arby's joke that Jed made? Like what makes that funny?
Why is
Uh
Arby's so funny?
why is Arby's funny?
I don't
I don't
know.
know, but it sure is.
Yeah, I
Arby's
don't know.
exploding
It's
food.
just
Uh
like I don't know.
but
It's sorry. I'll let you finish first.
but like one of the like my most recent commentary block, this was yesterday, was the top six ish, top six and a half of Infinite Finesse Tournament Reset that I did with Sersh Padoodle,
Hmm.
which is like her first second time on commentary ever, uh, and like it felt a lot like me just kind of having a conversation with her while the game was going, and we would talk about the game and we would get excited about the game, but it's not, I think it was very like organic. And I think that's a very important aspect of commentary, is being genuine. And then again, like with how online the community is, being genuine is kind of not obvious a lot of the time. I think that's also something that people who are looking to improve on commentary more and more, like it's just very self-reflective is what it is. Like you
Yeah.
just need to like think a lot on like what you enjoy and how you are as a person, how you bring that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to say, Sign? Also, sorry. We're going in kind of deep for these. This is good, but
Um, yeah,
I don't know.
I would agree. Like
Yes.
that dynamic of the two people, or maybe there's more. But I feel like the standard is two commentators, right?
Yeah.
The dynamic between the two is pretty important, and like if you have one supporting the other, a lot of the times it's like it doesn't matter like if what they said originally was actually kind of funny or not. If you're there for the homie and you make it like legit, like it's gonna work, right?
Yeah.
Uh, to me, this is monkey time. Is the classic thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Jed
yeah.
doesn't believe.
That's the
I don't think
obvious
he still
one.
believes this day, but like we're doing something. I think it was maybe one of the Hell in the Cells or
It was
something,
Hell in
and
a Cell
like
too. It was the
It
one on
is
Fourth of
too.
July.
Yeah.
we like I didn't know this bit. I didn't even know there was music going on or anything. I just saw a gif of a dancing monkey, and Jed started talking about it. I was like, all right, I'll go with this. It's funny, I guess. And like, if I had gone differently and been like, Jed, what are you talking about right now? Or like, like if I had done
Hmm.
anything else, like it would have made it look really weird, right? So I think it's a
Yeah.
big thing is like you just got to be there for the home. But I will
You gotta
agree.
be there. You have to have not really like trust, but you have to like be confident in supporting the things that your co-commentator is saying.
Yeah.
Like or you go like the complete opposite way. And like one of the funniest moments for me as like a commentator was I don't remember, I think it was Tetrio Cup 4. It was one of my blocks with Modest where he just went on like this super long tangent and I just kind of hit him with the no. Anyways, getting back into
Yeah.
the match and
Slap
like
him.
those just like small moments where you feel like you have like really good chemistry or you like run a bit like into the ground and it feels funny to you. Those things are very, I think they stick with the audience a lot. And there's a reason that Monkey Time is still very funny to many people.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Yeah.
like
So
I like
charisma,
good chemistry
charisma,
in my casters.
like, or I don't know. I guess it is definitely still just like self-reflection. I don't know how much is like, cause I don't know. When I started like trying to commentate, I think a lot of people try to do this when they start trying to commentate too. It's like they'll commentate, but they'll practice, right?
Hmm.
I don't think people practice commentating past a certain point. They just go out and commentate. Um,
I mean, I don't like actively practice it. Like I won't like sit down and be like, I'm going to pretend to commentate this set.
yeah,
Uh,
I've helped people with that before.
yeah.
why not?
I mean, I think that's a skill that you that people should develop like when they're starting out, but like past that certain point of like being able to talk about the game at like a proficient level, it like the actual act of saying the words is not what people need to be thinking about, or like I guess in my opinion what people should be thinking about.
Yeah, but or I don't know. Wouldn't that still be good practice?
Probably.
I'm not like telling people.
There's definitely
Or
things that you like. There's aspects of it that you definitely have
Mhm.
to, but like there's aspects of it that you just kind of can't, or like the way you practice with them is not really necessarily like it's not something you'd consider practice, right?
yeah,
To me, I find this really funny. I'm kind of having like a wow. So this is what psychology is all about moment. It's like wow, look, analyzing all of these like experiences in your formative childhood years. It's crazy. It's like when you have like, I feel like you can notice when two commentators or something. It seems like they're just kind of friends who are just really getting into like you can tell they both are just really into like what they're watching or like that kind of thing what they're talking about. Like you can tell they care. It's they
Mhm.
you know, for lack of better terminologies, they give a shit, right? um, you can kind of tell when someone has like I said, or my friends in high school, it was really obvious they cared about this one thing. Like that kind of quality is a thing I think you really want. And when you get into earlier, where you like the Modest and Jed duo, you can tell like they're both friends. They know kind of each other's a little bit social cues a little bit, and it works out really nicely because they both have the
Mhm.
same kind of level of passion, right? And that's really a big thing that it's difficult to practice. I don't really know
Yeah.
how you do like how do you like how do you simulate having a good passionate conversation about the video game w- unless you actually just do it, but then that's just
yeah,
having
That's
being
just
a friend
doing
with
some,
someone,
yeah.
right?
I think that's why something that as a TO I used to not really think a ton about, but now I've come around to thinking about it more and more and more is like making sure I pair the right people together. Uh
yeah,
Yes.
that's not something that I've thought about a lot until probably kind of recently, but it's like there's a huge difference for me as a caster when I'm paired with someone I'm very good friends with versus someone I'm not super close with. And it comes out a lot in like both the quote unquote professionalism, but how much I feel like I'm putting of myself in the commentary. And I think putting yourself in the commentary is way more engaging to the audience, and like trying to be funny and keeping their attention uh than like giving like quote unquote like the perfect play by play.
Yeah,
uh
yeah,
but yeah, again, commentary is very like subjective, right? So what I enjoy might not be what someone else
yeah,
enjoys. Maybe someone else likes it when I'm super like esports.
yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of, I'm not sure it's like talking around or I'm like fishing for something, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously I'm not I'm not saying that like we need to like, it's hard to like practice and illuminate like what makes and isolate what makes like commentary good and how you should be able to um like get more into commentary. But I feel like we we've sort of settled into a commentary style, if that's fair. Obviously, it's like esports is esports, and it might not necessarily work.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. All right. I'll preface by saying that I'm not like it's not bad, but I feel a lot of people are just trying are either not as experienced or they're trying to like uh like sort of imitate like the like two friends dynamic.
Mm.
And it is that is that necessarily like the best that we can do? And I don't know. You know? Like I understand like charisma is obviously important and but there's just like other ways to show charisma. Obviously it's important to have passion. And those things aren't necessarily those aren't things that you can necessarily practice. But good play by play does like interest the audience, right? It's not just like saying, "Oh, they got a T spin here." It's like keeping up the like really strong, good energy, being able to like like really be eloquent with your descriptions of the game as you go along. I think a really good example of this is like Dal. We've
Mm-hmm.
talked about him, but I don't think anyone's really like replicated that style of commentary. I know Garbo used to practice commentary, and I think in the one block I had with him on what was it?
One of the
The
Jstris cups.
the first back to back plus two Jstris Cup. He also would like just like break into random like crazy play by play segments, but I don't know. I think it's also part of it's like Modest and Jed or like that style of commentary is something that comes naturally to them, and it works very well for them. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's still a lot left unexplored, and a lot of people either A, they don't think about it and they just kind of go on and try to talk about the game and have a conversation with friends. That's fine, right? It's still compelling, right? It's still cool to just see two people who like the game on the mic. But there has to be more, right? And I just wanted to think about that. It's fine if we don't come to anything.
There probably is a more serious approach. Things a more serious and technical
Yeah.
approach.
If it's not something, I
I
thought it would be
think
interesting to talk
a
about, but it's
lot
fine
of
if not.
the, again, like going to square one as the thought for this, a lot of the square one commentary had that, but that's also by virtue of TEC being lower paced, so it's easier to do that.
Yeah.
uh but I think a lot of the square ones had like that sort of like more professional play by play sort of analysis. Maybe it was by virtue of the casters that they had on for most of it, but I'm not sure.
It's just
But
like a
I definitely agree with you that
combo
it
of
was
factors
kind
that
of.
like I didn't bother to isolate, and I also didn't feel like I didn't really care about it that much, to be honest. Or,
Hmm.
like, I didn't care to get better at because I don't think I wonder how much of it is just like your like innate charisma. It's not like charisma isn't something that you can't cultivate. I know one thing that a lot of streamers have been doing recently is like taking improv classes or something, you
That
know?
doesn't surprise me.
And it's
That
like
that
that makes sense, right? It's like what can you do to isolate these skills that seem like they're almost innate or something that you can only get through experience, right? It's the whole point of like practice, right?
Hmm.
Like to get better at things, you need to practice, and sometimes just doing the thing that you're doing isn't, or like only in the performance. If it's something that you can only work on through like the active like performance, it might not be best, right? You want to isolate things. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah, I
I'm
mean, I get
sorry.
it. It
Well,
it's just
yeah,
something that I've given a ton of thought to.
there's definitely different like different components of things that you can work on individually, but it's kind of weird to try and put them all together in like a
Yeah,
I don't know, just put them all together in a way that would be as if you were actually doing commentary. I don't know.
yeah. You know,
It's
like okay,
difficult to describe.
what I'll say is that like I'd want to see at least once. I just want to see like two people just really full commit, try hard, like commentary.
What is try hard commentary?
Full commit to like
Yeah,
just being super
just
esports and
super
very like
esports or like just
super professional.
completely like professional
No
style.
jokes allowed.
Not no jokes, but like you know what I mean, right? Like it's
See, I like kind of don't.
okay.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, are you talking about like league shoutcasting, for example, or like the people are just yelling? I guess I don't like. Obviously, the energy is there, right? But I don't get what you mean by like. I don't get what you mean by this, really.
Mm, I don't know. I think there's like a level of it's also possible I don't watch enough, but I feel like there's like a level of irony to the fact that like we're watching people like play Tetris for a while, and like I mean there's like breaks in energy. Uh, yeah, I guess yeah, I would say it's more like the like league shoutcasting kind of thing. Um, and it's just difficult to do because of pacing and stuff. Uh, and I could be like golden like only picking highlights out of my memory for certain commentary bits. But another thing is that like those really like like fast like casting segments are usually it's just one person doing it or like they're usually solo commenters. I think like Dal did some solo commentary. Garbo typically only did solo commentary. I don't even know if there's anyone else who really tried to do like solid play by play. It's also possible that like it just didn't work out. And that's what a lot of people or that's what a lot of people think about Tetris commentary too. But I don't know. Like it's hard to keep up that energy level for the entire time. But it would be
Hmm.
cool to see. Right?
If it was gonna happen, it would probably have to be a short block because I don't know if I would be able to like keep track of a game and do that kind of play by play for like the amount of time that I usually give people for a block.
That's what you practice. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you can practice, but energy's energy.
Yeah, and you get more efficient as you practice.
Yes
I'm
and no. I don't know. It's a thing I kind of deal with. Like you were mentioning earlier, like there's like some innate charisma required. I'll be honest, I'm not a very charismatic person.
yeah.
I like it's very odd sometimes the situation that I've ended up in where like at one point I was a very prolific, like I still am, but like you even would think there was like a sign there is kind of jarring to me, to be honest.
Yeah. Like
Um,
We live in a science society.
I don't know. It's just a little like I definitely it's not something a thing I pictured. That's all mostly. I don't know where I was going with this, honestly. I'm sorry. That was kind of stupid, but like
no, I see
I
what you're
like I
saying.
don't know. I just wouldn't consider myself very like innately charismatic. A lot of the time, I just kind of feel like I end up just getting engrossed in the game, and like at this point, the ways I've found to describe it are, I guess, somewhat of an explanation of things that go on. I
Hello?
Oh, uh, you ready to go?
I think signed that. I don't know.
no.
Sign.
You did
Oh,
you just stopped
hi.
talking or did you cut off? I think the last part of what you said got cut off.
Just didn't really make sense. I see. Yeah, I don't really know where I was going with that, to be honest with you. But like, I just kind of, I don't know. I kind of just don't. I don't really feel that way about things.
Yeah, and that's why what I'm
Yeah.
thinking about. Like it's I feel like it's something that you should be able to cultivate, but if it isn't, then maybe it's just a matter of getting the right people on eventually onto commentary.
It definitely is something that you can like work on with like a bit of a mask, and this is like really again a weird thing to describe, right?
No, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
It's a bit of a thing that you can try extending yourself out with.
yeah. But yeah, I feel like does it make more sense what I've like tried to get like I don't a lot of people will stay within that like a more it also could be me projecting, but I feel like a lot of people like, and you just said that you're like not, you don't consider yourself a super charismatic person. I don't think we have a lot of like people who would consider themselves that charismatic, right? And like,
I mean, I don't think anybody considers themselves charismatic, just like, like sense of self or
or
whatever.
yeah, I don't know, but
But I think a lot of just like making or like quote unquote becoming charismatic, I guess is how we're describing it, is just like finding the right space, both like in your own head and with the people around you or your co-commentator, to get to like lose yourself in the game or like to just become exciting or just become so excited to the point where you just kind of are become charismatic by virtue of
yeah,
like being excited.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
think
a
it's
really
something that
weird
comes out.
thing, but I agree. Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't like I don't think it's something that you like actively work on. It's something that comes out. And to say that people are never like a person can be not charismatic
yeah,
ever is sort of weird to me, because I think the
yeah,
idea of being charismatic has a lot to do with like where you are, uh like in terms of like what are you surrounded by, who are you surrounded by.
but it's like
Like
stuff
people
like
become funny by virtue of the people around them
yeah,
sometimes. It's just like
yeah, of
having good people to
course,
bounce off of.
but it's like it's stuff like like word choice or like timing and that kind of thing. Like it's just stuff that you work on, and I don't know, like it's not like a obviously it's like we're kind of talking around it as though it's like it is pretty ambiguous, but it's like I don't know. I feel like we could make it more concrete and make it things to work on, or just find people that have those things innately just by virtue of their experiences in life, like the people that you're around. If you're around really funny people and you'll like and your dynamic with those people is like very funny or very like has a good energy, then it doesn't need to be funny, right? It just has a good energy for like how
Hmm.
you speak, right? You're just around very learned people and like how they like use word like very well spoken people, and you'll become very well spoken, right?
Learning through osmosis is
But
just kind of like a big thing.
like I don't know, is that something that worth looking into? Like if you're like an aspiring commentator, I'm not saying that you have to do this. I was just saying I was just I don't know. Like it I think I this topic is becoming like too argumentative, or I'm not coming across well. That's fine.
That's
I think
but
the main points I've already said, and
mhm.
I've either tried to repeat them, and I'll either not be able to repeat them right now, or like repeat them in a way that will make sense right now, or um, people who are watching will understand them. Um,
I just think generally people should give commentary a shot, like
yeah, yeah,
if they think that they want to do commentary, just like uh it, it doesn't really matter to me. Like as a TO, I don't really care if if you want to try, if somebody wants to try commentary for the first time, then I'll do my best to pair them with someone I think they might be go well with, and then I'll like put them on a small tournament, or I'll put them on like a pools block, something that doesn't have that much pressure associated with it. And you just give them a shot to run wild, and you just like ask them like, how do you feel about it? What do you think? you did well, what do you think you did poorly, and just like invite them to reflect on the experience of commentary
Yeah.
and just like how
Yes.
they felt about it. Because again, like a lot of commentary is just how you feel about it. It's just how you think you did, how you think you went with the people around you, and how the audience digested what the things that you said. Uh, I think I don't know. I don't like the idea because commentary is just talking. It's just talking, just
Yeah.
talking about a
Yeah.
topic,
I don't
and
know.
trying to
I don't know.
distill it into this like super like formulaic approach.
I think as
It's
long
not
as you go
pure.
in with like more of a, it's something you actually want to do rather than like, oh, I want to do it to become known, then you probably like you'll
Mm-hmm.
get a lot out of actually just trying it, and you'll realize the parts about it that you might like, parts about it you don't like, things that you thought you would didn't, and all that other stuff. And it's definitely worth a shot that I think you can really like know by actually trying. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I will admit, so like people will occasionally ask for some kind of like, oh, would you help me practice? So I want to try this kind of thing, and like it never has the same feeling when I'm doing
When you're
that as it
not,
kind of
yeah, when you're
actually
not
when you're
actually doing it, you can't replicate the energy of being live in
Yeah.
front of however many people.
yeah.
And that's why
It's
I encourage people to like ask. And if people are like, "Oh, Reg, I'm thinking about commentary." Like
there's
Animeru. Animeru
yeah
is
there's
actually a great example of this. They just mentioned it one time while I was talking to them. They were like, "Oh, Reg, I kind of want to try commentary." I was like, "You want to try?" And
Yeah.
I just threw him on and
That's
with tag, and they had it they like she had a great block, and I think she wants to do it more. And it's just uh making them, just giving them the opportunity to try, and
yeah.
having like that experience of being in front of people is something that you can't replicate. You It's just hard, it's just impossible to practice being in front of people and having like that sort of
Yeah.
like
I
that
mean, like
feeling, like
when you're
adrenaline rush.
I mean, like, yeah, when you practice will never fully like
Mm-hmm.
replicate like the. It's fine. Like, I get what you guys are saying.
this is I'm not saying like to say prior. I just mean like it's worth trying it, and then you'll
Yeah, yeah.
know, and then
I
and
think
then
Yeah,
hopefully if someone was watching this, they didn't get like scared off of commentary from how I'm talking about it. I'm just trying to
just try
prod some
commentary. If you're
questions.
listening and you want to try, just hit
Yeah,
me up.
should. There's
Reg
definitely a lot of
8584.
people that need the help, I think.
Yeah.
Like tournaments that could use people talking.
yeah. But yeah, all right.
That's commentary.
That's about. I think we've been going for a while too. I think that might be a good spot to call it.
Indeed. Thank you for having me.
But yeah, um, we're also
Wowza.
on the Spotify. But other than that, uh,
Thank you for
thank
listening.
you for
Thank you for
listening.
watching.
Make sure to
Thank you
read
for being in
or
chat and such.
make sure to
Big
read or watch Sign's T Spin Manifesto coming at undisclosed
coming
time.
Yes.
soon.
Coming. It is coming. That's all.
Coming.
Coming.
Okay.
On the way. But yeah, thanks for coming, everyone.
Yep.
We'll see ya.
See ya.